Hello and welcome to the Inside Stylists Podcast. I'm Emma Morton-Turner and you're listening to episode 16, 10 Reasons Why Interior Styling for Poundland was a Good Idea. So anybody who knows me probably knows that I've been shooting for Poundland for quite a long time. And right now, this second while I'm recording this podcast, I'll have to take a picture. I've got pillows all the way around my microphone and my laptop so I can record this in a hotel room. It's Thursday. I've just finished day 4 of a 5-day shoot for Christmas. And I just thought it might be really interesting to share with you my Poundland journey, as it were, because I think people quite often when they start styling have a very clear idea of what they want to do and where they want to go. And maybe Poundland wouldn't be your first choice. You might want a really big designery name, but there's so many reasons that I am massively grateful for shooting for Poundland, and I've got such a lot out of it that I thought it might make an interesting podcast to share with people who are experienced and not experienced, I suppose, people up and coming. Quite often when you start out styling, you have a very good idea of the kind of shoots you want to do. And Poundland probably wouldn't be the top of your list. You would probably be thinking, I want to shoot for really big designery names with really expensive products. But actually, shooting for companies with less expensive products is really challenging and really exciting. And I've had an amazing time doing it. So I wanted to share that with you because I think it's really good to hear it from the inside, as it were. So I'm going to just tell you my 10 reasons. I'm going to try and share a short story with each one, which should explain exactly why I feel these 10 reasons are good reasons for styling for Poundland. And we'll see how we go. I hope no one knocks or crashes and bangs in the background because it's been quite a noisy hotel the last couple of hours. Anyway, so number 1. Poundland was my very first freelance commercial job. When I announced on Gorkana that I was going freelance, I wasn't super organised and it didn't get announced till the day I left. And within about half an hour, I had someone from Bottle PR, who was their agency at the time, email me and say, we're looking for someone to do the Christmas Poundland Christmas shoot and for their lookbook and their launch. Would you be interested? And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I've been freelance 5 seconds, not even 5 seconds, and I've got work already. Fantastic. And if you listen to episode 2, how I became a stylist, you'll know that I didn't really have any money lined up. I had no work lined up. I just kind of jumped. So I was like, this is fantastic. Yes, of course I'll do it. So it was really good to get a start like that, to have a high street brand interested in me going and working with them. So that's my number 1. Number 2 is that it's a really big job. Poundland actually it's a phenomenal company. I mean, because I've been behind the scenes of it for quite a while, it's actually mind-boggling how companies work. And this job was a really big job. And when I started it 8 years ago, it was a much smaller affair. It was a 2-day shoot, and then the press launches were in the press briefing centres at IPC and NatMax, so they were quite small. But they've grown into these massive affairs in London, in big locations with 4 or 5 room sets and lots of other areas to include, like confectionery and gifting and all that, and beauty and baking, all of that sorts of stuff. So it's become a really big job, and that's really cool. I love it. It was kind of why I went freelance, is to do these big jobs. So number 2 is it's really good to get these big jobs. And number 3 is recurring booking. I'm sure I'm not the only stylist who gets a little kick out of being rebooked for a job. When you've already done one job and you think, well, they're asking me to do it again, I must have done a pretty good job. They must be happy. How flattering is that? But to get booked 2, 3, 4, 8 years in a row, I'm just bowled over, absolutely bowled over. And I love it. I really love it. Whoever they are, whoever books me for a second time, I'm always like, yes. I bet I'm not the only one, am I? Number 4 is that the Poundland team is such a great team. It's so good. I mean, I've spoken about this before. When you work with people a lot, you become a little team. It was the same when I was at Woman & Home. It was the same when I worked for other companies. But you become really good friends. And once you know how you work with each other, you know that if someone says, it's not working, I don't like this shot, you don't get upset and stressy or take offence. You go, all right, she doesn't like it. Let's just move it. Let's move those baubles to the left. And I think there's a lot to say for that it doesn't feel like work. I think styling quite often can be very full on, very physical, very demanding, very stressful. But when the team is good and everyone works together and knows the limits, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Number 5, PRs move, and they move a lot. I think they move as much as we do now. But from working for Poundland from the very beginning, the PR agency, or the PR people who are doing the PR for Poundland have moved agencies and have then gone, oh, Emma did something for us for Poundland. We're now doing Dylon. We could get her to do something for us. And that has happened time and time again. I've worked, because of the job I did for Poundland, I've worked for Kenwood, I've done DeLonghi launches, I've done Dylon shoots, I've done an Aldi press show, I've done all sorts. And it's all off the back of having a PR. Oh, I did a Take 5 video, styled a video for Take 5, which is a anti-fraud thing. I don't know what you call it, anti-fraud thing. They did videos and they had people checking out how to not be caught up in fraudulent activity. So what I'm saying is I've had about 6 jobs off the back of working for Poundland just because of the PRs moving. So that's been massively beneficial. Number 6, the work is really challenging, and I think work is always challenging to a certain extent, and I mean that in a positive way. I mean it's never boring. It's never just the same stuff again. And even when it's the same products, there's always a new way of shooting it. So you need to really push the boundaries. So it might just be, we're not doing glass baubles anymore. We're just doing box sets of 12 red baubles, 12 gold baubles, 12 pink gold baubles. Whatever it is, you have to then go, right, how can I make this look different? How can I push this on from last year? How can I make these baubles look the best baubles they've ever been? And there's a real challenge to that. And I mean, when I do these shoots, I go away. I go up in March to Wolverhampton to the store that we now shoot in. And they have like these bays where they put all examples of the products, and usually they're pre-production, and you can see how they look. And the Christmas buyer and the marketing manager show me around and talk through what we're going to do, or talk through what the products are. And then we go away and we discuss what we want, what kind of feel, what look, and then I do drawings. And I don't know, drawings just take me a long time. I like to really think things through, and I think it probably takes me a day to do the drawings for a Poundland shoot and then launch on top of it as well. And that challenge is always good. I really love that whole, right, I really don't want this to look the same. I really want to think of something new and exciting to do, which, if anyone is listening to this before the press launch for the 2018, oh my goodness, is all so different this year. But that's kind of 50% the buyers and 50% the shoot. But I'm not going to spoil it. It's great stuff. But the other side of it is it's budgeting. I mean, I mentioned that I was going to do this podcast to the marketing manager before I did it, mainly because my husband, Tim, said, oh, you don't want to do that. I'm not sure about doing a podcast about Poundland. And I was like, why not? He said, he was kind of in two minds. He thought either it was going to sound a bit like I was sucking up, or he thought I was going to sound like I was showing off about this great job I've got. But when I ran it past the marketing lady, she said it sounded good, so it was fine. So here we are. But yeah, what she brought up was that the challenge of the budget, and that this is Poundland. There isn't going to be this extortionate budget. But actually, in my experience, there's never an extortionate budget. Ever. You get given your amount and you go buy what you need to buy, and you make sure you try and fit it all in. I think Poundland probably has a lot more. I mean, my favourite thing ever is to go shopping in charity shops and find old furniture to paint to make it work in a scene. So, God, dream job. So, budgets are always a constraint, but that's a challenge I think you face on every shoot in every region, which is quite interesting because I don't think she realised that. It's that Poundland has a budget the same as any other brand does. Number 7. We did the shoots. We worked out the other day that the first 2 shoots we did in the studios at the head office. The second 2 shoots we did in real people's homes up here around the Midlands. And then the 5th and 6th shoots we did were at Prodotto, which is a really big studio in Halifax. And that was really interesting. And the benefit of doing that was that I'd never worked in a studio like that. I've walked into studios and where there's coves and you kind of bring a few things in and you set it up. I'd never been in a studio like Prodotto. Prodotto, basically, we kind of discussed we discussed how we wanted the features to look. I drew them out. I drew bay windows, and I drew like front doors, and I did all this sort of stuff, all the room sets. And then the pictures were sent to Prodotto, and they built the rooms I drew. So they built my my bay windows. They built the steps leading up to the front door. They did every little detail in the studio while we were there. So we would have 2 set ready to go, and then the other 2 were built in the space while we were there. And we were there a week, so. And I'd never experienced that before, and it was a real eye-opener how a kind of, I mean, they do lots of furniture stuff there because it's such a big space, and they can just literally wheel in big sofas in one side. They create these incredible room sets. You will definitely have seen some Prodotto shoots. You just might not realise they're actually studios because they're phenomenally realistic. Really. So yeah, that was a really lovely way of getting introduced to that kind of what is possible in a studio, like how they build like all these antique looking windows. And they built an orangery for a really big name fabric brand, and they antiqued it all, and it was just amazing. I could have moved into half the studios. They do drill and saw all day though, so you do go home at the end of the day thinking, oh my god, I just need some peace and quiet. But yeah, really loved working there. That was great. Number 8 would be Halifax in general. I completely fell in love with Halifax, and I would never have been there had I not been shooting in Prodotto. When I do these shoots, I go up on a Sunday night, I stay overnight in the hotel, and then the next morning I drive with all my props in the car to the location. And when we went to Prodotto for the first morning, I was driving away from the hotel, and there were all these tiny little chocolate box cottages all in a row with these amazing Yorkshire stone, tiny little houses with tiny, like you one step from the pavement and you were into the house. So the gardens, the front yards were tiny, and they all had washing hanging out at the front. It was like proper how you could imagine it. So we're driving along, and I'm literally going, oh my god, beautiful houses, look at the scenery, I love it. And then all of a sudden there was a break from the cottages, and there was just this incredible valley. And I was like, I had no idea I was this high up. I had no idea they had this scenery. Just absolutely loved Halifax. Loved it. And the thing about Halifax is it's like full of old warehouses, and I really want to live in a warehouse. And everywhere I go there was abandoned warehouses. And when I told my husband the first night I was there, he was like, do we need a holiday home in Halifax? I was like we can afford a holiday home, but like we can spend 5 hours driving to it. But yeah, Halifax is just so beautiful. So completely love Halifax now, thanks to Poundland shoots. Number 9. It's still really exciting to see a lookbook that you've created. It's exciting to see you go into shops and you see the images you've created on the kind of imagery hanging around the products. But the most fun is when you open up a magazine or a newspaper and you see your shots there. I mean, I've been doing this job for a very long time. I still get a really big buzz out of it. I absolutely love it. It's such a thrill. It kind of puts all that hard work into, makes it worth the while. Number 10. We're at number 10 already. Gosh, this is going to be a very short episode. Now, when I ran my ideas past my husband, I had 2. Number 10. I had 2 number 10s. One was when I go on these long journeys, I listen to books on Audible all the way there, all the way back, driving to and from the studios. I love it. I love listening to fiction books in the car. And he said, no, don't say that. Say the other one. The other one was I get some time away from being the mum taxi. Now, my kids don't listen, so it's absolutely fine for me to say this, but it's actually quite hard work balancing everything. It's really hard work balancing walking the dog, making sure the kids have got everything they need, doing packed lunches, making sure they're happy. Are they doing their homework? Do I need to run them here? Do I need to run them there? The moment you're outside of doing all of that, you can just think about the job, the work, and it makes shooting so much less stressful. Having said that, I do have to prepare everything before I go. So I have to make sure the dog walker's in place. I have to make sure all the money for school lunches is topped up. I have to make sure everything is completely sorted out. But that whole being in a hotel and not having to lift a finger, someone else can make my bed. I can get poached eggs for breakfast every day if I want. It's just really good fun. Really good fun. Nice and focused time. Nice and focused time. Sorry, girls, if you're listening, or you're listening in the future. And although I've said 10, I thought of one other thing that I wanted to share, and that was I've had a really good insight into what goes on behind the scenes at not only how Poundland works, which I have found absolutely fascinating. I mean, I did product design at uni, so I kind of have this kind of product sort of head on most of the time, but seeing how PRs and companies work together to get the end result, how they try and get people through the door, how many people they want to attend launches, who they want to attend, who are their like top people they want to get through the door, and how many features they need, like how many times they need to be featured to make it a success, how they quantify success. And I find that really interesting. I think I ask more questions now about that side of things with all my clients than I ever used to. I just find that if I can understand what it is that you're looking for, I can help achieve that. And things like sharing press launches on the Inside Stylists website, that's the kind of thing that I think will help with that. So that's my 10. Actually, it's more like 12, but you know what I mean. 10 official, with 2 extras for free. So if anyone's getting asked to do jobs and they might not think, actually, that's not a brand I really wanted to, or that's not a brand I really thought I would ever be working for, don't cross it off, because you don't know what's around the corner. You don't know how much you're going to get from it. And just embrace every opportunity, because you never know how it's going to end. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's a short, sweet one. And I have a sneaking suspicion it might go out on Saturday, because my Mac doesn't seem to want to download the MP3, which is actually what I've been doing all week when I haven't been looking after the kids. I've been trying to get techie stuff sorted out. So much for early nights. Anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions or want to comment, I would love to hear from you. As always, the show notes will have all of the details from what I've been talking about today. If you just go to insidestylist.com/Poundland. And I will speak to you all soon. Bye for now.